The reality on the ground is biodigester construction is not hard. What is actually hard is how to get clients and explain it to them, to convince them to source the business to you or to give you that contract. So that's why we say, how do you construct a biodigester and construct it effectively? And how do biodigesters work? Will you be able to explain it perfectly to somebody if they should ask you how the technology works, knowing that the background to this technology is quite new to us? What we know and what we have gotten used to over the years is not what it is anymore. We are going to answer one of the most persistent questions by our customers, one of the most frequently asked questions by customers. What are biodigesters and how do they work? So basically what we always say is that biodigesters are integrated waste management system, and they are used as part of treatment of toilet waste water. Traditionally, manholes and septic tanks and cupboards have been what we have used to treat toilet wastewater. So a team comes to your site and they dig about 12 feet by 10, do all the concrete works and the top slab with all the iron rods and stuff. And then when you flush your toilet from the inside the house, the feces and the water are together. That was the problem, and that is still the problem. You need a tanker or a truck to show up to come and collect the physical feces. And then the problem in Ghana most of the time was that when they take it, they don't know where to send it, so they end up in the sea and they are polluting our environment. But basically, when we talk about biodigesters, what we are saying is that these are simply on-site biodegradable toilet waste biodigesters that homeowners can utilize as an organic waste, particularly in animal and human excreta, to produce fertilizer and biogas. Biodigester can give you two outputs. It can be used as a human treatment option, whereby the human waste can be treated, and then the output can be fertilizer or something that you can use to probably do your farm works, or the output can also be a biogas. But in our case, and in the case of Ghana, over the past 6 years, 7 years that we've been using the biodegradable waste biodigester, what we have come to do is to use it for the treatment of human waste in place of the traditional septic tank and the culvert system, KVIPs, and other traditional ways of human treatment that we have come to know and use. What happens is that when you usually have these human waste treatment systems, especially the septic tanks or the traditional manholes that we had over the years, the human waste and the feces are all together in a holding tank, and then it can be there for a number of years. It could be a month, depending on what type of septic tank that you have. And then after a time, you'll be forced to have it dislodged. Dislodging means that you need a truck that comes and then have it physically removed and sent to a treatment plant or a treatment place, or simply dump at anybody's backyard. And that's what we have come to know over the years with some of these human waste treatment options that we have. Ever since the biodigesters came, what happens is that it's a simple on-site biodegradable waste toilet. So what that means that instead of having a truck show up to come and collect the human waste, the system can be done for you at the backyard, whereby you can treat your human waste at your backyard, and then the residue over the years can be taken, a hole can be dug, and then it can be left at the backyard of your house. Now, this type of biodigester can digest food scraps, and it can digest human waste as well. So the simple on-site biodegradable biodigesters simply treat human solid waste, treat the wastewater and odor by powering those natural occurring bacteria mostly found in septic tanks and manholes. So how do biodigesters work? Basically, when you have a biodigester constructed for your house, it can be 3-bedroom, it can be a 4-bedroom, it can be an apartment, it can be a church, it can be a restaurant. I mean, all sorts of places whereby human waste is disposed, biodigesters can treat them. So you have a biodigester done mostly for the water closet or the flush units in the house. And then the human waste, when it's flushed, digesters usually have chambers in them, or they must have chambers in them. So what happens is there is going to be a rapid separation of the human waste from the wastewater or the flush unit. The unit flushed, that's the water
will be separated either into a so-hole pit, into a drainage system, and into any other option that's available for the treatment of the wastewater. The human waste then remains in the biodigester, as the name suggests, and then microorganisms, including microbes and other bacteria, will work on it and break it down for easy disposal. So sometimes people ask, why is it that you are using such a small tank for the digester? The understanding is that because you are operating in an oxygen-free environment and the human waste is going to be broken down, there's virtually nothing that's going to be left in the digester, and as such you do not need a big tank to hold the human waste, because the water will be taken out and then stored or disposed of in a separate way, and the human waste that's basically left is what will be in the tank, and then the microorganisms are going to feed on it and they are going to break it down into particles and for easy disposal in the near future. So a typical biodigester can last you 5 years, it can last you 6 years, some might go as much as 10 years depending on the lifestyle of the users of the property. When I say lifestyle, what I mean is there are some houses where you go, people do flash pampers, people also flash tissue papers, people flash condoms, people flash diapers, and those are inorganic materials. Those are not easily biodegradable biodigester. So some of those ones will have to be taken out, physically removed from the digester, and sometimes they might clog the pipeways, which will render your biodigester ineffective. So the best way to use a biodigester is simply to flash the tissue paper, which is biodegradable, and then all other materials, which are inorganic materials, can be stored or can be taken out and put in a different place. When you do a biodigester and you have it done in such a way that only tissue paper is what you flash together with the human waste, you are guaranteeing the long-lasting use of your biodigester.
This is Dreamhouse Biodigesters. 11 things that you need to know about biodigesters. Over the years, we have done videos that explains the technology of how biodigesters work. If you are new here, consider subscribing. We have a website, dreamhouseBiodigesters.com. You can go there, read some of our articles, and see the types of biodigesters that we have for you. The first and most important fact you need to know about biodigester is what it is and what it does. We have said that biodigesters are simply on-site biodegradable toilet technology that break down solid waste for easy disposal in the environment. Now, we are used to traditional septic tanks and manholes over the years. With this technology, all you need to do is to get a big tank. The human solid waste and the water are all together. So sometimes it can be 6 months, it can be 1 year. If you're lucky, it can be 2 or 3 or 4 years. A truck will need to show up in the house and come and take this solid waste into a place where it can be disposed of. Now, we've come to realize that it was a big problem, and it's a big problem in our part of the world. So when the biodigesters came, then it became a game changer for all homeowners, because it was easy to dispose of the solid waste. There was no scent, and then the size that you need. So that is it. The history of biodigesters is not clear in Ghana, but what we do know is that it became prominent in 2014 during the famous cholera outbreak that killed over 100 people. During that time, the World Bank recommended this technology to us as a country to adopt. And ever since, they've become the game changer in terms of human waste disposal in Ghana. This is Dreamhouse Biodigesters. If you are new here, consider subscribing. Give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Another thing I need to explain about biodigesters is how do they work. Now, we have said that biodigesters basically is a biodegradable technology. Biodigesters simply work by having layers and then filtration system and then a soak hole. So human solid waste come on top of the digester through the flush units, and then there's rapid separation of the wastewater from the solid waste. Microorganisms break down the solid waste, and then the water is diverted into the soak hole. That's the filtration system. Now the solid waste is left in the digester for microorganisms to break it down. After a couple of years, it can be easily disposed of either for gardening purposes or easily disposed into the backyard of your house. There's a filtration and there's porous. So everything breaks down permanently and turns into water that's easily disposed of through the soak hole. Biodigesters use soak hole. Normal septic tanks, we call them soak away. With biodigester, you don't need a 4x4, 5 feet depth block constructed soak away. You need a soak hole, which can be a round circle-shaped diameter, 3x4 depth, depending on the depth and the size of the biodigester. So if you have a 3 feet depth biodigester, all you need is a 5 feet depth soak hole, which can be done with rocks and smaller stones. Some people also use blocks to do the soak hole, and then they put a plastic sheet, a recycled plastic on it, and then you cover it with the top soil. People also are told to secure around their digesters, especially the soak hole, just to ensure that the wastewater that's going there is in a good shape and it does not affect the whole technology. Fact 5 about biodigester is the disposal or their remains and how they are disposed of. We say biodigesters are disposed of in 2 different ways, depending on the materials that were used. If you use the wire mesh and the fiber net and organic soil, the time will come you will have to remove all these biodegradable materials and dump them under a garden, a plant, or simply dig a ground, about 2 feet ground, and bury it there. But with the Biofil biodigesters that use the porous, the water and the feces actually are broken together after a period of time. That's with the Biofil biodigesters. So there are 2 different ways of disposing of solid waste depending on the type of biodigesters that is done by a constructor for you. In fact, this is the reason why people choose biodigesters over other waste management systems. Now, we have said biodigesters cost less to install, and of course they are not expensive as compared to traditional manholes and septic tanks. We also say they can be done in a day and are easily sited at the backyard of your house. So that's the reason why people are choosing biodigesters now, and they are becoming effective and they're helping homeowners have that needed peace of mind. Another fact about biodigesters that you need to know is that they are eco-friendly, environmentally safe products. What we mean by this is that when you do a biodigester, the microorganisms break down the solid waste in such a way that there's no scent and then there's no effect on your household in terms of the smell, the scent, and then the problems that come with using other septic systems. The biodigester works in such a way that microorganisms break down the solid waste and are easily disposed in the environment. This technology works by using eco-friendly materials like fiber, like wire mesh, and like porous systems that can be easily be getting in the environment or in the locality in which you live. They are the same biodegradable stuff. The coconut husks and all these fibers are easily broken down into pieces and can be easily disposed of in the environment. Another fact about biodigesters is that you don't have to dislodge them, not physically with a truck. We do know that when you have a septic system, a time will come that you need to get the solid waste out of it, because septic tanks do not degrade human waste. So a time will come you need a truck to show up in the house and come and physically pull these feces from the house. Now with biodigesters, you don't physically dislodge. What we do and what we recommend is there's a regular maintenance that must be done. The lifespan of a biodigester can take as much as 30 years, depending on the user's lifestyle and the amount of people who are also using the digesters. Now what we say is that you must do a regular maintenance when you choose a biodigester, which means that every 3 or 4 or 5 years, those non-biodegradable stuffs that might have gotten stuck in the digester, pampers, baby diapers, yes, some people put those things in the digester, or even condoms, will have to be physically removed because they are not organic materials that the technology can biodegrade. So those ones have to be physically removed, and that's when the maintenance is done and the biodigester bed is replaced with new materials for you to keep using the technology safely. So we do not physically dislodge biodigesters, but we do regular maintenance for biodigesters. Another fact about biodigesters is that your groundwater is not affected. What do we mean when we say this? You see, biodigesters, the depth of a biodigester is 3 feet, maximum 4 feet, depending on the size. Now, when you get your 3 feet, it means your soak hole must go 5 feet, extra 2 feet in between. Let's say you have a borehole in the house. Boreholes takes at least 20 feet to dig. Some with the new mechanized boreholes is about 200 feet. So biodigesters basically work on the surface of the earth, where the wastewater is just distributed around the surface of the earth. So we do tell people, when you do a biodigester, where the soak hole is done is where you grow your green grass or you secure the area. And the water, your groundwater or your water is not affected. The building itself is not affected by the amount of water that's coming from the soak hole, because it's filtered gently and slowly on the surface of the ground. Another most important fact about biodigesters you need to know is that they have governmental approval and international backing. The history of biodigester shows that it was the World Bank that actually recommended that we implement or we adopt such a technology. So biodigesters that are being constructed in Ghana now have the assemblies backing them. In fact, the assemblies are implementing some parts of the government's policies where low-income houses are supposed to get reduced prices on biodigesters that they install. So the assemblies are physically involved in the installation of the biodigesters in Ghana or in Accra, particularly in some parts of the municipalities in both Accra and Kumasi and Tamale. So biodigesters do have governmental approval, they have international backing, and they are being supervised by the local assemblies in Ghana. Biodigesters also have Environmental Protection Agency's approval. That's the EPA also gives approval for biodigester construction through the approving of the effluent level, that's the water that's coming from the digester, and making sure it's tested and it's fit to go into the environment or to go into the ground. In some communities, biodigesters are allowed to be dropped in gutters because they cannot do a soak away. Environmental Agency, that's the EPA, approves of such disposal of wastewater in the gutters in some parts of the community. What you must do as an installer in this situation is to get bottle, go and fetch the wastewater that's coming from the house, take it to the Water Research Institute, and have the effluent level tested for you. This can be given to the homeowner to keep in the house in case there's a problem. They can show that the water or the wastewater they are disposing into the environment is safe for that purpose. When it comes to biodigester construction, one of the key questions people ask, what are the sizes that's available for me if I intend to construct one? The idea of the biodigester size is because of the capacity of the users, one, and obviously the property in which the biodigester is being constructed for. So if it's a commercial property, then you're looking at the commercial or the industrial type of biodigester. If it's a standard family house, 3-4 bedroom, we're looking at the standard size digesters or the medium size, or even the large family size digester, depending on the number of rooms that are in the house, and then the number of toilet seats that are also in the house. It might not always be the case. There are certain conditions that must also be met, which some of them includes the position of the pipes, that's the toilet seats, how the house has been designed, whether it's a story building or whether it's a ground floor kind of building, which means that the toilets are scattered all over the house. And then if you do construct a biodigester, for it to come into the digester, considering the depth of the digester, you will have to do separate ones just to meet them at the terminating point where the pipes, the inlets are coming out of the building. So those are some of the few key things you need to know if you want to construct a biodigester. The 4 types of biodigesters that you need to know about in case you are considering constructing a biodigester. Now, there are 4 types of biodigesters that we usually construct for clients and those who are interested in learning how to construct a biodigester is what this video is about. The first type of biodigester you can consider for your house is the standard family size biodigester. As the name suggests, standard family means that there's a father, there's a mother, and there are about 2, 3, or even 4 children So the standard family size digester has ideally been designed for 1, 2, 3 bedroom house with possible 1 or 2, 3 toilet facilities. Now this digester has got a dimension of 5 by 5, that's 5.5 feet by 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet, right? So it's a digester that has been designed for everyday use in terms of the people who are going to stay in the house. So we consider it for 18 flashes or 18 uses. When we consider flashes, we don't consider the urine or the other uses that the toilet bowl is used for, except for the human waste itself. When somebody goes for private and they go and then they use it for that kind of purpose. So the uses are 6 people using the biodigester times 3 times a day will give you 18 uses a day. Occasionally, when there's a party or you have the visitors or there's an outdooring going on in the house or there's any other program, funeral and stuff, the digester can be used for full capacity or other people can use it. But the key part is that the continuous use 24/7, 7 days a week is what we usually consider. And that's what comes with in mind when you're talking about the standard family size biodigester. The second type of biodigester that you can consider for your house is the standard family medium size biodigester. This biodigester is quite popular with most homeowners because then it sits in between the standard family size normal digester or small digester and then the large family size digester. The designing and understanding of the digester is coming from the background of having 1 or 2, 3 or maximum 4 bedroom house. The digester is popular because then it solves the problem of you having to do a small digester and having to do a large digester and then sitting in between, knowing that the family will have a better room to operate and not be worried too much about whether the biodigester will serve the purpose or to meet the capacity it was intended for. So the biodigester is basically still the same as the standard size, but it has been designed for up to 4 bedroom houses and then 4 toilets in particular. So you are looking at a family of father, mother, children. There's a house of or somebody staying with the family or a grandmother, grandfather, or anybody who is staying with the family. That's what the biodigester has been done for. And the size is 3 feet by 3 feet by 3. So the length is 6 feet. We're looking at the width 3 feet and then the depth is also 3 feet. That digester has been done based on the recommendation of how people's lifestyle has been based on. The digester has also been designed for holiday properties or outer houses, small offices, and other facilities that people have that are not used frequently, but occasionally we want to gather for a big party or for any kind of outdooring event. The third type of biodigester that you can consider for your property is the large size family biodigester or the large family size biodigester. This biodigester has been designed for properties ranging between 5 to 8 bedroom, possibly a boys' quarters attached to it, story buildings, rental properties, and compound houses. So the digester has been designed for up to maximum of less than 30 uses per day, which is 30 flashes, and then the size of the biodigester is 3.5 feet by 6 feet by 3.5 depth. The digester has been done based on the fact that the users are going to be plenty. There's going to be a lot of flashes. There's going to be a lot of activity around this type of biodigester. It was popular when we started the construction of biodigesters, but has gone down with time based on the experience that we had when we cannot manage the water that comes with the biodigester wall. The problem usually happens that if you do not have a good soak away where the water can easily soak in the soak pit, or you don't have an outlet for the water. So what happens with most of these type of biodigester is that we actually ask homeowners or those who are interested in constructing biodigester to consider the standard family size, 2 of them, instead of the large family size, so that it can accommodate the users and then also leverage on the capacity of the digester, whereby it means that let's say you have an 8 bedroom house and instead of doing 1 large family size digester, you are doing 2 standard family size. The toilet rooms can be divided among the 4 toilets will take 1 digester and another 4 will take 1, minimizing the amount of pressure that goes onto a single digester and the water that comes with it. So it means that we are doing 2 separate digesters, including 2 separate soakaways for these digesters, and that helps lessen the amount of pressure that goes on the digester. If the digester is being connected to a gutter or there's a possible way of having the water pumped out or the water is coming out and there's no problem, then the large family digester will shoot any purpose and it will work for any family. And then depend on the lifestyle, it's one of the best digesters that have served a lot of people in Ghana today. Our biggest digester that we do construct is the extra large or the commercial or industrial type of biodigesters. As the name suggests, this biodigester has been designed for commercial uses, for commercial light industrial uses, and then is for properties that are huge or facilities that are big. The digester can take as much as 100, 200 people or 200 uses per day, depending on the type of water treatment or wastewater treatment that has been designed for it. These biodigesters are huge. They range between 6 feet to 8 feet. There are some that we do them, customize them based on the fact that it's for schools, or it's going to be used by churches, or it's going to be used by a public situation or public toilet, and then the digester is being done solely for that purpose. So it means the capacity is huge. There's a lot of pressure on those digesters, and then they've been designed based on the fact that a lot of people are going to be used. From experience, constructing the commercial or the light industrial digester demands a clear treatment, wastewater treatment for it, and it must be designed as part of the construction. Those digesters do not work well when you add soak away to them. It means that you must have an outlet for the water, because there's going to be a lot of water that will be coming into the digester, and then the processing might need you to have a place for the wastewater. Now, I don't know how many times I'll have to say this. On this channel, we do videos that explain how biodigester work, 1, and 2, how you can use them as an option in managing the solid waste or human waste. And the key for biodigester construction, I've always said, is where your wastewater is going. The wastewater not retaining the digester is what actually makes the biodigester work. So if you are constructing a biodigester, make sure you have a place for the wastewater. Whether you're going to be called to do any correction or maintenance on it, 99% of the time is based on the wastewater. If there's any problem, it's the water that becomes the issue first. Because when you do everything right, the biodegradation always works well for your digester.
We are going to show you how to construct a simple on-site biodegradable toilet waste biodigester. The digesters are also not the same ones that produce gas or biogas as an output. Let's get into the steps that are needed to construct this simple on-site biodegradable waste toilet biodigester. For this type of digesters, we prefer them in rectangular shape, mainly because of the bedding materials that we were using when they became prominent. Digester should ideally be sited at a well-drained area. For this particular installation, the type of soil we met is great. A mixture of loamy soil and sandy soil with gravels, making it ideal for so-called pit construction. Take into consideration the slopes and gradient for the digesters of wastewater and its drainage into the so-called pit. So from your site marking and digging, this shape or a diagram like this is what you are trying to achieve. That's a rectangular shape for the digester and then a circular shape for the so-called pit. The digester can range from 5 feet length and 2 to 3 feet breadth or width, and a depth of up to 2.5 feet. The key consideration in your digester size mainly depends on the number of users and type of property you intend to put the digester to use. In this instance, it's for a 2-bedroom house, so we are going for the standard size family biodigester. Erect the prefabricated slabs. With the required depth and size achieved, the prefabricated slabs, which can be done off-site and brought to site for installation, is equally very good to use, and in our case, that's exactly what we are going to use. Now we have erected our slabs and fastened the loose ends together. This will be held and further strengthened with mortar at all the joints, the 4 corner joints of the precast slabs. The digester can range from 5 feet length and 2 to 3 feet breadth or width, and a depth of up to 2.5 feet. The key consideration in your digester size mainly depends on the number of users and type of property you intend to put the digester to use. In this instance, it's for a 2-bedroom house, so we are going for the standard size family biodigester. Erect the prefabricated slabs. With the required depth and size achieved, the prefabricated slabs, which can be done off-site and brought to site for installation, is equally very good to use, and in our case, that's exactly what we are going to use. Now we have erected our slabs and fastened the loose ends together. This will be held and further strengthened with mortar at all the joints, the 4 corner joints of the precast slabs. The next stage is to prepare a soak-hole pit and then the drain area. The soak-hole pit is basically like a soak-away. It has to be filled with stones for the easy penetration of the wastewater. So in preparation for the soak-hole pit, you need to consider the users and probably the lifestyle of the people who are going to use the facility. If heavy users, then a big soak-hole must suffice. For a standard typical biodigester, a 3 feet circular or diameter soak-hole pit should be okay. The key consideration here again is to ensure that it's deeper than the digester bed and has enough slope to let out the black water from the digester bed. The next step is to insert a drain or lache pipe into the biodigester. The waste drain pipe, or better still, the lache pipe, is a key differentiator when it comes to biodegradable waste biodigesters. Because you are looking to achieve a digestion through an anaerobic process, you want to have a way to filter water that comes regularly into the biodigester. This is where the lache pipe comes in. So we'll connect it into the soak-hole pit to do just that. Do screeding inside the biodigester box with sloping leading to the lache pipe and also leading into the soak-hole pit. With mortar mixed at the required ratio, you have to do screeding of the digester bed floor. In some cases, and depending on the soil, a concrete mixture could also be used. It is important to ensure that you have a gentle slope all the way from the flush unit inlet to the outlet where the lache pipe will be placed. This ensures that there is a continuous flow of wastewater from the digester bed, and from experience, most of the problems that comes with ineffective biodigesters is this part where wastewater does not seep out regularly and smoothly out of the biodigester bed. A mixture of water and human waste is never good for any biodigester, and that could probably lead to scents and other things that people complain about when biodigesters are done for them. So the key for you here is to know that when you are doing a biodigester, the wastewater must always be out. That's the only way you can ensure easy biodegradation and the microorganisms can work in your favor. Soak-hole pit construction. Fill the soak-hole pit with stones or rocks or broken blocks, depending on which one is available to you. This allows for easy penetration of the wastewater into the earth surface and allows for longer use. So in our case, there are a lot of broken blocks that we found on site, and exactly what we are going to use. So we are going to fill the soak-hole pit to the desired level, making sure that it goes above the lache pipe all the way to the top before using a black polythene bag to cover it. You can also use a rubber carpet in this case. What this does is that if no concrete or pavement or tiling is done on the ground of the compound, rainwater will not render the soak-hole pit ineffective. When you do a soak-hole pit in this particular format and you do not cover where the wastewater from the digester is coming, and the rainwater comes from the top and goes directly into the soak-hole pit, it will fill it up and water will be forced to return, possibly through the lache pipe into the biodigester, and rendering all the work that you have done ineffective. So that's why sometimes we also ask homeowners who are considering biodigester to make sure that they secure around the biodigester. The next step is to fabricate and install the biodigester filter bed. To support the digester bed and its subsequent load, use bricks, blocks, or in our case, specially designed porous slabs for the bed support. Place them neatly along the edges of the biodigester from one end to the other. If it is a bigger digester bed, an extra blocks or stones can be used to ensure that there is enough weight to hold the bedding material. That's the load. Also ensure that there are spaces to allow for the wastewater or the black water to have an easy passage all the way into the leachate pipe through to the soak hole pit. The next thing to do is to place the pervious concrete or the porous slabs on these particular blocks or slabs. This is done mainly for the enhanced filtration of the waste water. The porous slabs or the pervious concrete have become a game changer in biodegradable biodigester construction industry in Ghana today. Now ensure that the slabs covers the complete digester bed from end to end, and then cover the bed with fiber net or mosquito netting. Make sure you tack it to the sides and then tack it from end to end as well. There must not be any space left around the digester bed. Talking about the fiber net and the mosquito net, any of them can be used, but with time and with experience, we've realized that the fiber nets have a stronger effect and they can last longer. So all you are trying to achieve is to make sure that the homeowner has got value for their investment. So your duty is also make sure that you use the right materials, and then the fiber nets obviously is a better option to use than the mosquito net. The next thing to do is to cover the net with your chosen or available biodegradable materials. In our case, we are going to use the beaten coconut husk, which has been treated into a fiber. So we call them coconut fiber. You ensure that the fiber covers all the surface of the digester bed and is spread all across the digester bed to receive the human waste. And finally, cover the biodigester with the top slab and then seal it, making sure that it is sealed airtight. Use mortar to seal around the digester and design it to suit desired look and feel.
I'm going to show you how to construct a Biofil biodigester using blocks. It's also a large family size biodigester. We are adding soak away to it. We are giving it an overflow pipe as well. And then we are creating a typical soak away inside the biodigester insert. And of course, giving an overflow pipe that will be laid all the way to the outside of the building for drainage for a possible connection in the near future. So, like with any other biodigester construction, you start with the site selection, preparation, and then digging of the ground. This particular biodigester, the block work that we did, is a large family size biodigester. But the difference is that we are going to include in it a soak away, a simple on-site biodegradable soak away that will first eliminate the water, and then from there the water will go into a soak hole pit. We're also going to provide an overflow pipe just for the excess water to go into a bigger drainage that's going to be provided outside. So after digging of the ground and then meeting the right requirement and the measurement, your next thing obviously is to lay the block. And this one has been done already with the size of 6 by 4. And then screeding is going to be done by the soak away. It's also been done. What you are seeing right now is the pipe that's been laid, the pipe from the other toilet seats that has been laid, and then it's being connected on top of the digester with an overflow pipe at the base as well. Doing the traditional small size soak away in the digester itself, the whole idea is to make sure that the chamber in which the digester bed will be laid is not disturbed when there's an excess water. In case of an overflow of the water, it does not come back into the digester bed. And then it also means that you are creating a room for the overflow pipe to work in case there's a worst case scenario whereby the soak away that you are also constructing for the biodigester does not work. So you are filling all the potholes, you are filling all the loopholes, you are solving all the situations that usually leads to the problems that will affect the biodigester when it is constructed. And that's what this particular type of biodigesters are about. It's a bit innovative, it's a bit creative, and I must confess, it's a few things that we have done that we've not shown other people, or we've not done a video on it. This is the first time we are doing this video to show how some of this stuff is done. So this is the inlet coming all the way from the top. There's a guest seat here, and then there's one of the rooms from the top is also here. We decided on this location for the digester because we were thinking of having a pipe laid before the groundwork is done here, with an end cap on it to the end of the building. When the plumber is laying all the other pipes, he is going to lay this one as well as part of the waistline and go and drop it there, hoping that in a worst case scenario, if there should be an excess water, it can be taken out into a future drainage that will be constructed in front of the house. When it comes to doing screeding for the biodigester bed floor, the key part is the gradient and the slope that you will need to ensure that there's no wastewater left in the biodigester bed. That's very, very key in this situation, because any water retaining in the digester will simply going to make sure or render the biodigester ineffective, and it's going to give you problems. It's going to lead to early maintenance, and then it's going to get a quick call back from the homeowner about the digestion not happening in the biodigester. So we want to do screeding based on the slope available. The bedding is being prepared. Bed preparation for laying of the biodigester bed. After the screeding, you know what to do. Put your blocks, or especially precast slabs, on top of the slope that you have created for the wastewater to go into the soak hole pit. After putting the porous on the prepared digester bed, the next thing is to do the fiber net. The fiber net is the best option when it comes to some of the materials that you use for your biodigester, because it lasts longer than the mosquito nets that we were using when we started this biodigester construction. Before the fiber, the treated coconut fiber itself is laid on it. The treated fiber net is being laid on the digester bed. This is where the action actually happens and the biodegradation takes place. There are other options like POP, sawdust, and hay or green grass that other people also use, but typically your best bet is always to get a coconut treated fiber, treated coconut husk. That will help with the decomposition. And then usually when you do this, you don't necessarily need to add any bioenzymes to it. Like I always say, the bioenzyme is where there's a problem and then you are trying to sort it out artificially. After the digester bed has been laid, the top slab is being put on it. The top slab must always be cast ahead and then left to dry, probably overnight, a day or two, depending on where it's being done and the type of soil you are using for the slab making. The top slab is being put on it, but there's a clean out on it. What the clean out does is to allow the homeowner to have a routine inspection done anytime he needs to. I mean, it might not be necessary, but occasionally this is necessary, because then you don't want anybody to be opening the biodigester, which must be airtight all the time. The final top slab, and then it's going to be sealed airtight. So the soak hole pit is being attached to the digester. It's an additional soak hole pit, apart from the soak away, traditional soak away in the digester itself. And then there's an overflow pipe. So this digester has got three things: a soak hole pit, a soak away, and an overflow pipe leading all the way. You just have to make sure that after filling it with stones or broken blocks, you cover it with black polythene The whole mindset and idea is that this will prevent rainwater from seeping directly into the so-called pit and then making it difficult for you to work well. And then you can cover it with the topsoil. When the final groundwork is being done, it will also go on top of it to make sure that it's secure and safe underneath the earth surface. In this video, I'm going to show you the 7 quick steps to installing and constructing a biodigester. We are going to use the standard family size biodigester as a test case and install a simple on-site biodegradable waste biodigester. Step 1. Site selection and preparation. Select the site and location for biodigester construction. Site selection and location of biodigester is usually done after the site has been inspected and assessed. Preferably, this should be done in agreement with the plumber, who usually does the final connection, and of course the homeowner. Siting of a biodigester should take into consideration both soil type and water table condition. Ideally, a biodigester should be sited in a well-drained location, typically with subsoils that are sandy, so that the digester can be placed totally and firmly in the ground. Siting of a biodigester should reflect the highest water table condition that one will find in the location and immediate surroundings of the biodigester. How do you determine this? By digging a hole and observing the saturation depth of the area you are going to work. When the water table during severe conditions is below 4 feet, the digester can be installed at full depth, even less than 1 feet exposed above the ground. If the water table is high, the site consideration determines that the digester should be lowered to the ground only a few inches. In this case, the front of the digester hole should be a few inches deep and the back of the digester hole should be 6 inches to 8 inches deeper than the other. Mark and dig ground based on size of biodigester to be installed. Mark and dig the ground based on the type of biodigester you intend to construct or install. For example, 2.5 feet width by 5.5 feet length for the standard family size biodigester. If you intend to need a bigger digester for a larger number of users, then by all means increase the size. But for the average Ghanaian family, the standard family size will do just fine. Let me add this quickly though. In locations that are not ideal like waterlogged areas, the installer must place the digester at a depth so that it will never be below the water table, even during the raining or wet season. Step 3. Dig rectangular shaped digester bed hole with depth depending on the required slope for plumber. Remember, after agreeing with the plumber for the location, you are also supposed to agree with the plumber for the depth which the digester must go. If the homeowner intends to do filling in the house, then obviously you are supposed to do the digester at an angle or at a depth whereby it will still show up a bit for the final floor tiling or pavement blocks laid. So I will reiterate again, the type of digester to be installed will usually be determined by the number of users of the facility. So if it's a 3-bedroom house, 4-bedroom house, a 5-bedroom house, or even a bigger property. And also the digester hole should be rectangular and big enough to hold at least a 2 feet by 5 feet digester. It's important the base of the digester hole should have a slight pitch towards the back of the hole, with the back end being about 6 to 8 inches deeper than the front end. Now to step 4, which is the soak hole construction. You will have to prepare a water drain area for soak pit, which is the soak hole construction. The soak hole, as we have determined for biodigesters, is a circular hole that is dug between the digester bed hole, right? A 4 feet long pipe or a 4 inches long pipe will connect the bottom back of the digester with the soak hole. Out of the back of the digester bed or the digester hole, you are required to dig a 2 to 3 feet long trench, which is wide enough to hold the leachate pipe, which is usually between 3 inches and 4 inches in diameter. I prefer you simply use the 4-inch pipe just to allow for enough wastewater to pass through, depending on the users as well. This hole should be as deep as the digester bed hole. Then at the other end of the trench hole, you dig a circular hole that can start from 2 to 3 feet in diameter, and that will serve as the soak hole. Now the depth of the soak hole or the bottom of the soak hole should be 2 feet, 6 inches below the bottom of the leachate pipe hole. I hope you get this one. Because you are going to do screeding inside the digester bed, the slope of the water will have to come out through the leachate pipe and then go into the soak away or the soak hole pit, right? So it means that the bottom of the soak hole pit will always be about 2 feet, 6 inches deeper to allow for enough gradient and slope for the water to come and go inside for the filtration to happen. Now, in terms of filling the soak hole, you will be required to fill the bottom of the soak hole with first a layer of large rocks. Each rock should be about 3 inches in diameter, and then you can also use broken blocks for filling the soak hole since they also absorb water very well. There are some places when you go and then you are doing the digester, you will find it difficult taking along stones or you getting nice stones to fill the digester bed. So if there are broken blocks around, you can collect some of them and use it to fill the bottom of the soak hole. They also work well. And then filling the soak hole, remember, allows for easy penetration of the filter water. So when you're filling the soak hole, remember first large rocks, then cover the large rocks with a layer of smaller rocks. And then after the smaller rocks, you can, if there's some chippings, you can collect some of the chippings and then put them on top of the smaller rocks. Line the inside of the soak hole with a piece of recycled plastic. The plastic should cover the rocks and go up the sides of the hole slightly. The top lining ensures that rainwater does not seep into the soak hole to allow for easy penetration of the wastewater from the digester. On top of the plastic lining, then soil the soak hole with the same topsoil that it was dug out. And because the soak hole is buried, it's always preferable it's done in such a way that nothing will come and block it, which will prevent the water from coming in as it is required. And if it's a large digester, you might need as much as 80 pieces of blocks. If it's precast slabs, you will just have to arrange them, use the binding wire that's already in the fabricated slabs, twist them and hold them firmly to hold the digester firmly together. And then you will use mortar to seal all the joints. And then in some cases, in terms of the screeding, you must do a screeding that will lead to the soak hole pit, where you have put the leachate pipe. In some cases, you will have to do the screeding and wait for it to dry well before laying your blocks to support the digester bed. Step 6. Prepare and fill the digester bed with filtration material, which will be a multiple layers per instruction. So the digester bed, you will set it up with a wire mesh. Then it means that you lay the wire mesh across the blocks and cement other blocks into the place. There are some instances we use porous made of chippings and cement in place of the wire mesh. What happened with this was that most of the government projects, it was agreed that porous will last better than the wire mesh because the wire mesh after a time, between 2 to 3 years, will corrode because of the acidic water coming from the digester. So then the porous chippings were a better option, and then most people now use the porous chippings in place of the wire mesh. You can also do that, but you can go back to the basics and still use your wire mesh, and then knowing that a biodigester, when done properly, will last you 2, 3, 4, or 5 years, and then maintenance work will have to be done, and the replacement of all the materials inside the digester bed will have to also be replaced. It means that then the wire mesh will work fine in any situation, right? So the next thing is to line the digester bed with 2 layers of fiber net or mosquito net. You place it directly on top of the wire mesh or the porous. Now you lay the sawdust, your hay or fiber. What we sometimes do is to add the sawdust, treated sawdust, and then we add the fiber, coconut fiber on top of it. So we add about 3 to 4 inches layer of hay or fiber or sawdust on top of the mosquito netting or the fiber netting, and then add coconut fiber to help aid the microorganisms in their biodegradation process. There are some cases you can add organic manure or compost if necessary. So with that, you add a 3 to 4 inches layer of rich compost or organically rich topsoil on top of the coconut fiber or the hay. The hay is usually the green grass that are cut and dried that the horses usually feed on. When you get that one, it works well because microorganisms can easily be generated from it and they will aid in the decomposition. Again, be sure to cover the entire bed, including all the top corners. And the last step, which is step 7, is to put the top slab and cover to seal the digester. In this case, you can also decide to put an inspection chamber and spacing chamber outlet if necessary. In some cases, when you have a problem or you are called to come and do maintenance or check if the digester is still working well, you don't want to go and break all the sealings that you have done on the digester. So if you have a inspection chamber on top of the digester, you only open it up and look inside the digester if there's water inside or it's working well. It's not necessary to place a vent pipe on top of the digester. There's a video, I'll give the link up there, where you can see why you don't need a vent pipe on your biodigester. And then you can also make sure that the surrounding of the digester is filled to the desired level, allowing the homeowner or those who are working on the site to secure the digester, and then add landscaping to the digester area. So basically, this is what you do when you follow all these steps. Then your biodigester is done, and then you are in safe hands. Until quite a few years ago, I didn't know that you can make money from just being a biodigester maintenance person. The reason being that a lot of biodigesters have been constructed by people who are not qualified, and then the homeowners have been using it for a few weeks, sometimes months, and then they realize that there's a problem with it. So if you are really truly good at what you do, and you have shown over the weeks or years that you are an expert in the biodigester construction, you are going to get work simply by being called to come and do maintenance on a biodigester. And it pays well. It doesn't actually become a big problem for you if you want to specialize in how to maintain a biodigester or how to do biodigester correction or biodigester reconstruction. Now, biodigester maintenance happens mainly because of 2 things. Either the digester tank is full from usage, and of course there's a residue of human waste in them, or 2, the wastewater did not work. That's the wastewater management source which you are using did not materialize. What it means is that either the tank got full early, or the soakaway has been rendered ineffective, or the soakaway is not really doing what it's supposed to do. Some of those reasons have been enumerated, and it's key for biodigester construction that you understand what you are about when you are constructing biodigester. Wastewater, like I've said, is always key. Just making sure that where the wastewater is going is something that you are aware of, that you understand, and then you make sure whatever you do, that's the ultimate thing that will make you get a longer lasting use of a biodigester. In this video, I'm going to show you the 4 necessary things you need to do to protect your biodigester. The first thing you must do to protect your biodigester during this lockdown is to ensure that you do not flush the water closet or the units unnecessarily. Yes, that's the first thing you must do. I've seen digesters being done for people. I've seen people go and then spit in their washroom, and then all they do is to flush. Too much water is not good for the biodigester.
Apart from saving water during the hard times, it also has an effect on your pocket. This is the time to teach your children how to use your facility correctly. Even though a toilet can handle a reasonable amount of toilet paper and it's safe to flush tissue in the newly designed biodigester, don't use your toilet bowl as a universal garbage disposal. Too much toilet paper can clog the drain. Don't flush anything else other than human waste and toilet paper down the toilet. When shopping for toiletries, pick a toilet tissue that's been proven to break up easily when wet. This way, it won't cause any trouble when it's already in your digester.
Now, the second most important thing that you must do to protect your biodigester is simple. Secure it. Just go ahead and secure your biodigester. I've done biodigesters for people or clients, and I've seen them just leaving the digester as it was done. When we finish a biodigester for a client, we expect them to secure it. This means that doing everything possible to make sure that the digester is in firm position.
Whenever you install a biodigester, the onus lies on you to protect your investment. This means doing things that generally makes your digester last longer. You can fill around your digester to bring it up to the desired level to ensure that soak holes dug for your digester work well. You can then design the digester to fit the general landscape of your compound.
Step 3. Keep trees away from your biodigester. It's not only trees that must be kept away from your biodigester, but anything, including cows, must also be kept away from it, especially the top slab. I do know of clients who we have done biodigesters for and were thinking of having it buried. Sometimes we don't advise that. Some even said they wanted their cars parked on it. But we also advise this, that it's not necessary based on the fact that the space that you need for biodigester installation is not big, and as such can be hidden at the backyard of your house.
3. Keep trees away from your biodigester. In landscaping and general design of your compound, beware of trees which have roots that grow and extend aggressively. They should be kept far from the digester to avoid any damage. You can plant grass instead in the drain-filled or soak hole areas to prevent and minimize the instances of soil erosion.
Divert rainwater or any other soak away water from the biodigester soak hole pit. This is important.
When the drain-filled or soak-away designed for the digester is soggy, it would have challenges in absorbing the filtered wastewater. To prevent this, landscaping and foundation drains should be planned and executed accurately. Consult a professional regarding this matter.
Bonus point! And to 5, this is the bonus point. Do regular maintenance.
Bonus point. Do perform regular maintenance. Make sure your biofil digester wastewater is maintained every 1 to 3 years by a professional. Remember, the frequency of having your maintenance done varies with each household and their lifestyle, that is, the amount of users and the type of facility it is. It is best to consult a professional again to know how often you should have maintenance done.
And can be hidden at the backyard of your house. Oh, Henny, I'm doing recording. You can't you see I'm recording? I'll get back to you, okay? All right. For these 4 tips, if you still to the end, and to keep your biodigester, to provide COVID-19 is going to take or is going to happen. Oh. If you are new here, consider subscribing. We are also our this includes your biodigester. What are these 3 common biodigester toilet problems and how to avoid them? On this channel, to do videos that give you the reason why in the near future you might have to consider installing a biodigester. Despite all the advantages associated with biodigesters, which we have spoken about extensively in some of our videos, there are certain misconceptions and misunderstanding on how this biodegradable, eco-friendly toilet actually works. I do know of a couple who have done a biodigester and are now contemplating on going back to constructing a traditional septic system. Their anger, their frustration is that the technology is not solving the problem they were thinking it was going to solve. The issue is every technology in this world that has come up has got its problems. Biodigesters are no exception. There are some certain problems that you will encounter and you face when you install them. And in this video, I'm going to refer them to you and show you how to avoid them. Stay with us.
Here are the 3 most common issues that affect biodigesters and how to solve them. Problem 1. Excess water in the biodigester. Because biodigester waste management system biodegrade waste materials for easy disposal, excess water means that solid waste don't get the chance to be separated for microorganisms to break them down. Another problem is, if that happens, it becomes difficult to flush the water closet unit since there is excess water in the pipeway. 2 things can lead to this. Actually, 3 things can lead to this. Excessive flushing, non-biodegradable materials clogging the digester, and constructing a digester in a waterlogged area. To solve this problem, minimize the amount of water going into your biodigester, flushing only when it's necessary and not flushing non-biodegradable materials which eventually choke the pipes. Low flow or dual flush toilets will also minimize water going into the system. Also, it's important that before you install a digester, you have the soil test to determine the level of the water table. If it's a waterlogged area, then the plumber must as a necessity use a P-trap seat, or the footing of the building must be up enough to allow for the digester to be up so that it doesn't get filled up too quickly. Flushing non-biodegradable items. Non-biodegradable products in the biodigester fill up space and will never break down naturally. They also create problems for the microorganisms that are supposed to break down human waste. This includes items like diapers, paper towels, and even cigarette butts. Even so-called flushable products don't break down as they should sometimes. When you use a baby wipe to clean up your little one and change their diaper, be sure to wrap up and dispose of both items in a trash can. Wrap them in toilet paper and throw them out instead of flushing them down the toilet. Both items can clog the toilet rather easily. Because toilet papers are sensitive appliances with plumbing that's created to flush just a few septic items, it is important to only flush bodily waste and toilet tissue, nothing else. Simply put, keep all non-biodegradable products out of the digester.
So we are doing a biodigester, a large family size biodigester for this property. I want to take you around to see the progress of work and then give you some few commentaries on what is it that we are doing. The digester is going to be here. The biodigester will be here. We have dug it. We are just waiting to lay the blocks and of course do the inside toppings and bed, the digester bed. This is the family size large digester. It's going to be 6 feet by 4. The depth will be 4 feet. And then there's going to be the soak hole here where the filtration, the treatment is going to happen. The leachate pipe will pass through this place and connect the digester to the soak hole, which will be filled with rocks and other filtration materials. This is the soak away that we have dug for the kitchen, bathhouse, and then the laundry room water, the wastewater that will come from there. This is the waste that we are doing for it. The soak away actually is going to be 6 feet. The depth is 6 feet, 5 feet breadth, and length is going to be 6 feet as well. Corridors block, that's key for this type of soakaways. You can't go wrong with a corridor block when you're doing a soakaway. We've also done the top slabs. It's been cast and it's ready for them to put on it after the plumber has done the connections from the kitchen and the bathroom and of course the laundry room.
3. Using too much detergent. As much as this is not a problem with the newly designed biodigesters, too much detergent, which usually have phosphates, act as fertilizer, encouraging algae growth that can block your perforations in your distribution pipes. Overuse of these products, and more importantly, the wrong product, will be a problem for your pipes and biodigester tank. Use liquid or gel soap or any non-harsh detergents in washing your toilet bowls. Moreover, harsh products will kill off the bacteria in your tank that are necessary to break down waste in the biodigester. There are certain commercial products that claim to clear clogged pipes but often contain toxic or hazardous chemicals that are bad for the environment.
In this video, we are going to talk about the reason why you don't need a vent pipe on your biodigester. So this is a vent, right? And then this is a digester. Why do we say you shouldn't put a vent pipe on a biodigester? The simple reason is that biodigesters use anaerobic digestion. And anaerobic digestion means that you don't need the vent on the digester, because the digester only works in the absence of oxygen. When I was doing the research for this story, I came across some pictures and of course some videos of biodigesters that have a vent pipe on them. And then I was thinking, probably those who are doing those installations do not understand the technology and what it is exactly that this biodegradable technology or biodegradable biodigesters with. There have been a few occasions where I've been asked why I do not put vent pipes on my biodigesters, and I've had to explain to either a plumber or the homeowner the reason why we don't put vent pipes on biodigesters. So the question of why vent pipes are on the biodigesters are not a question that must arise in the first place. You once do the biodigester for a client. When your fields are wet and it was time for the plumber to do the connection, we put a vent pipe on the biodigester. After a few days, up to a week, when the digester was being used by the homeowner, I received a call and the homeowner was like, "Why is there so much scent in my compound and in my house?" And I could not answer. So what I did was to do a quick U-turn from where I was going and go back to his house and then check out the reason why probably the dust was many or there was the scent in the house. When I got there, I realized that the plumber had put a vent pipe on the biodigester and that was what was giving the scent in the house. There's the reason for that. And the reason being that when you do a biodigester and then you put a vent pipe on it, the technology that is supposed to work in this circumstance or in this instant will not work. We define biodigesters as biodegradable systems that turn solid waste into organic manure for a safe disposal into the environment. We said they are used as part of the process of treating biodegradable toilet waste water and sewage sludge, with the process often referred to as anaerobic digestion. Natural composting organic manure are introduced to treat all organic biodegradable materials through the natural process of anaerobic decomposition. So there are two major types of technology used for wastewater treatment. There is aerobic systems, and then there is anaerobic systems. Simply put, there is aerobic decomposition process and there is anaerobic decomposition process. Each of these technology or systems have different uses. The truth is, whether it is aerobic or anaerobic treatment, each treatment system or technology has its place in the world today, but they are very different in the process they both use to achieve total degradation, and as such must meet the regulations set by the environmental agencies that regulate what is released into the ground or water. Aerobic wastewater treatment is a process where bacteria utilize oxygen to degrade organic matter, generally quantified as biochemical oxygen demand. Aerobic digestion is present everywhere that organic matter decomposes in the open air and with an abundant air circulation, and it's typically used in an activated sludge treatment plant. Remember the septic tank system? On the other hand, anaerobic digestion is a sequence of processes by which microorganisms break down biodegradable material in the absence of oxygen. Populations of anaerobic microorganisms typically take a significant period of time to establish themselves to be fully effective. So if the installer intends to use oxygen for the biodegradation process, then of course it makes sense to put a vent in the tank, provide oxygen for it. So let's do a small comparison. In an anaerobic digestion, gaseous oxygen is prevented from entering the system through physical containment in seal tanks. Anaerobes access oxygen from sources other than the surrounding air. The oxygen source for these microorganisms can be the organic material itself, or alternatively, may be supplied by inorganic oxides from within the input material, which includes the fiber, hay, organic manure, and the bioenzyme, which is a chemical for the treatment of the human solid waste. This is to say that the oxygen source in an anaerobic system is derived from the organic material itself. Why then do some biodigester installers ignorantly put a vent pipe on a digester if the source materials are going to do this, or they are already doing this? In an aerobic system such as composting, the microorganisms access free gaseous oxygen directly from the surrounding atmosphere, hence the need for a vent pipe. Aerobic processes use bacteria that require oxygen, so air is circulated throughout the treatment tank. This aerobic bacteria then break down the waste within the wastewater. Solid waste that the bacteria are unable to process settle out as sludge, which in some months or years will have to be evacuated by a truck. Some aerobic treatment systems include a secondary settling tank to facilitate this settling process. The final treatment processes prepare the water for return to the environment, which in the case of a septic tank is the soakaway, usually the third chamber. We recommend that you do a vent pipe on your building, that's if one has already not been installed. It will serve both the house and digester in case you are worried about any scent coming from the biodigester, which in most cases will not happen. Also, if an installer and the plumber or homeowner insist on a vent on their digester, tell them what you are doing is not a septic tank. Biodigesters do not require vent pipes because of the process of anaerobic digestion. So here's a quick summary of what we have said. Anaerobic wastewater treatment is carried out by anaerobic microorganisms, and that's what all simple on-site biodegradable digesters are supposed to do. That is to say that the technology that works best for such a system, aerobic wastewater treatment process, occurs without an oxygen supply. Key difference between aerobic and anaerobic wastewater treatment is that in aerobic wastewater treatment, the tanks are constantly supplied with oxygen, while in an anaerobic wastewater treatment, gaseous oxygen is prevented from entering into the system. So if someone demands the vent pipe be put on your biodigester after it has been installed, or why is there no vent pipe on your biodigester, they are asking the wrong question and probably do not understand how the technology around biodegradable toilet waste biodigesters work. The only advice we give around vent pipes is that under normal circumstances, the toilets in the house will have or will require vent pipes or vents to help ease scents coming into the washroom in case of clogging. That's clogging of the pipes, and that's what's required for the building. If they were not done at the time of the construction of the building, then some can be put on the lines outside the building itself, and the ones that are leading directly into the biodigester. But they must not be put on the biodigester. I have been asked this question of, in my honest opinion, what do I think of comparing a biodigester to a septic tank? And what I've told some of the people who I spoke to is same as asking somebody to compare SMS text to WhatsApp. So that's the analogy I use when somebody say, in your honest opinion, will this technology be better, or is it better than what we have grown up with, what we know over the years, which the manholes or the septic system? And then that's exactly what I did. I mean, basically with SMS, you know what you are getting. And of course, with WhatsApp as a messaging tool, you also know what you are getting. So that's what I do when I'm comparing a septic tank to a biodigester too. And that's an analogy I always give out.
This video is to answer one of the key questions that homeowners and those who are trying to build houses have been asking about biodigesters. And the question comes because of the traditional mindset of building houses. The simple reason being that, can a manhole or septic tank be converted into a biodigester? And then the reason they ask that question is because probably you started building the house, and then you have done your manhole as part of the whole planning, and then it comes to a time you get to know that there's a biodigester you can use for your facility. And then they come to us and they ask us, is it possible to convert our manhole, our culvert, or our septic tank into a digester? So we have done a test case, and this is what we did for a particular house here in Accra. So this is the facility. It's a five bedroom house, and then the mindset was simple because then the person naturally will want to do a manhole for the house. This house actually did a culvert, the culvert type of septic tank, where you have the first chamber. I think they combined 3 rings. They put 3 rings on top of each other and then seal the base, the bottom. And then there was a second chamber, which they've also done, also with 3 rings. And then there's the third chamber, which was supposedly for the kitchen and then the bathroom wastewater. So this is what they did. And then when they got to realize that the land they are using is not going to be able to manage this system, then the head of Biodigesters said then they got interested in it. So we came to do an assessment, and then we agreed that the best thing for them is to get a biodigester. So here is the solution that we provided them right behind me. We gave them the digester. What we did was to terminate the pipes and to reconnect them into a digester. The idea was that because if you have a manhole, you will need a periodic dislodging. That's the human solid waste has to be dislodged. And with biodigesters, you don't have to do that. It's obvious why people will be interested in having a biodigester. So after we explained to the client, they were happy with it, and then we did a digester for them. So we terminated the pipes, and then we did a digester in front of the pipes that were leading to the culvert or the septic tank, so that the fecal, the human solid waste, will first go into the biodigester, have it treated, and then the wastewater will go into the manhole so that they can be pumped out periodically. That type of water is not a problem because then it's virtually clean. It's been filtered because of the use of the porous materials and all the stuff that make the filtration works. The water from a biodigester is virtually clean. It can be used to water your gardens, and it can be pumped onto any surface that you have. Let's say as part of your building you have a landscape done. Those waters can be used to water that part of the house. So what we did was to locate the pipes that were coming from the building into the manhole. We located them at a point, and then we followed up on it and did the biodigester close to where the septic tank or the cuvette is. So those pipes that were going to the cuvette were terminated and dropped into the digester, as you can see here. And then the wastewater is what we have diverted into the cuvette or the manhole. That will be easy for dislodging. That's the wastewater can be pumped out by a simple pumping machine, either into the field or outside. And then in future, because it's a developing area, when there's a gutter outside, then it can be connected, the wastewater can be connected into the gutter. So another concern was whether there is scent, because then we did it closer to a bedroom. And we told them, Biodigester will not give you the scent. There's no smell, there's no scent, there's no flies. And if you get a biodigester done, you are virtually guaranteeing the safety, the health-wise of the environment in which you live. That's why we always say with biodigesters, that peace of mind that you deserve is guaranteed.
So I've always given this analogy of a stray dog which shows up in your house and poo-poos on your compound or at your backyard, right? And then obviously you're not going to have it collected, and then you leave it there. After a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, you realize that there's degradation happening. The feces is slowly getting, the water or whatever was in it, will be slowly getting tip out. And then the mixture, the sand will, the soil or the soil of which the poo-poo is, will start mixing with the poo-poo. And slowly you can see some microorganisms will be feeding on it. That's exactly what we try to replicate in a biodigester. And for those who live in the Western world, we have Central Park in New York or Hyde Park in London. You are walking your dog, and ideally when the dog poo-poos, you are supposed to, pick it, right? Have a rubber and then pick the litter after yourself. Let's say you don't do that, and then you leave it there, and then you come back a couple of days or a week, you observe that the poo-poo that the dog did on the lawn or on the grass will have been biodegrading slowly. My microorganism will have been feeding on it, and that's exactly what we try to replicate in a biodigester.
Few things you have to consider in case you want to install a biodigester. Usually, whoever intends to install a biodigester for a client will have to tell them the do's and don'ts of biodigesters. One of the key parts is that biodigesters are biodegradable waste biodigesters, which are supposed to help aid in biodegradation and decomposition of human solid waste. Unlike the septic tank or the covers that keeps the waste together and stores it for a certain number of months or years before it's physically removed through dislodging, digesters are supposed to decompose the human waste and then it's for easy disposal. What most people also fail to say is that there are certain things that must be done when it comes to installing biodigesters. What I mean is there are some do's and don'ts when it comes to biodigesters. What are the do's? The do's are that you are allowed to flush your units as usual, as it's supposed to be. Anything organic like your tissue paper and the human waste are good for the biodigesters. What is not good, and the don'ts as I put them, is the inorganic materials, which includes the diapers, the pampers, anything that cannot break down by the digester. So when it comes to this issue, what we say is a time will come, depending on the lifestyle of the homeowner or the family who have installed a biodigester, a maintenance have to be done. And the reason why the maintenance lifespan cannot be determined, or the time range in which maintenance must be done cannot be determined, is solely and mainly based on the family's lifestyle. So if there's a family of 5 and they're living in a 3-bedroom house, you have your 3 children with you, you have father, mother, probably there's a house help or there's grandmother also staying with us, then what we are going to do, or the estimate that must usually be made, is that this digester must last you at least 5 years before maintenance is done. If it does not last you that amount of time, then what it means is that probably some inorganic materials might have mixed with the organic ones in the digester, and it's going to prevent the digester from doing what it's supposed to do, which is to biodegrade the solid waste. Whenever there's an inorganic material in a digester, the microorganisms and the macroorganisms that aids in decomposition cannot work well, because then it means that they block the pores, they block the oxygen that comes into the septic or into the digester tank, and they prevent the digester from working as it's supposed to. In that case, you will need to have maintenance done. So if there's a qualified installer who has installed a digester for you and you experience such a problem, what you do is to call the installers to come and have the lid of the digester open up, and then all those stuffs that are in it can physically be removed out. So if there's pampers, there's diaper, there's cigarette butts and all those stuffs, naturally those things are not going to biodegrade, so you have to remove. That's where the maintenance issue comes in for biodigesters. So what are the steps that we take when it comes to maintenance? First thing, if you get to realize your digester is getting full, usually happens when you flush the flush unit or the WC. You realize that there's a bubbles, and then it settles. It takes time before you can settle into the digester tank. Then there are some occasions you might also see the water outside around the tank showing, and that is overflowing. In that case, it means that maintenance has to be done. Either the soak away or the soak hole pit is not working well, or some materials that cannot biodegrade have gone to block the pores or the pipes, or have clogged the way in which the water must go into the soak away for the digester bed to work well. The key part for most homeowners that they need to know is that when you are using a biodigester, there shouldn't be a water, or there shouldn't be any water in the digester bed, because it works well when it's dry, and the microorganisms work well when there's no water in the digester. That's why in the previous video that we explained about biodigesters, we said that there must be a rapid separation of the solid waste from the water. The solid waste stays in the digester, microorganisms work on it, the water goes through the leachate pipe into the soak away or the soak hole pit, or into a gutter or whatever system that you are using for the water treatment. If they are not going to work well, then you have to do maintenance. It means that the digester bed will have to be changed, new ones will have to be fitted. The good news for homeowners now is, when we started doing these biodigesters, we were using wire mesh, the mosquito netting, and then some other stuffs. What happens with this technology was that it was corroding because of the water, the acidic nature of the water from the flush unit was corroding the wire mesh and the nets. And then the time range or the timelines in which maintenance has to be done will be shorter, right? But luckily with the new improved biodigesters, which have got the porous system, and then the filtration is way better, you don't have that problem unless it's really the lifestyle of the family who are living in the house.